And hello, good evening, everyone. One of the big things that people ask during fasting is, do I need to take supplements? Do I need to take vitamins? Do I need to do anything else in addition to the fast? And we're going to answer that question here as we get into my 72 hours, y'all. Hey, I am just 11 minutes past 72 hours in this week's fast. You get to talk to me. I get to talk to you to share where I am, what's been going on with me over the last 72 hours. And we'll talk a little bit about supplements. We'll talk about vitamins and answer some of those questions. And usually the question is, if I take a supplement, will it break my fast? And what supplements do I really need to have? Are they important during the fast? And, this is kind of one of those nuanced topics that we'll talk about, and we'll have some information for you as we get into the show. Welcome. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And just like we always do, y'all, we're going to see some numbers here. You'll get to see some of my monitors. I've got over to the side, I've got my glucose monitors that we'll take a look at, and you'll get to see what my continuous monitors are showing as we get into the show tonight. Let me move those over a little bit so you guys can get a better picture of those. Okay, so let's hop in and let's talk a little bit about our topic tonight, which is, hey, what supplements do I need to take, and what things can I do during the process of fasting? And it's a fascinating discussion, right? So what are we going to be talking about? What will we talk about? Of course, welcome, right? Welcome here. We're going to do a little bit about check-in, and we're actually talk a little bit about that here in a minute. Understanding the body's needs, right? Particularly during fasting and how the body works. We'll talk about water-soluble vitamins. We'll talk about fat-soluble vitamins, some electrolytes and minerals, and then some special considerations. So, a quick check-in. How am I feeling? I was telling someone last night in one of our shows. Actually, not one of our show, our community meetup, by the way. If you missed that, you got to get on the next one. But during our community meeting, I was telling someone that this week was actually a more difficult fast than normal. And it was more difficult because I had a little bit more stress, a little bit more, I don't want to say pressure, if you will, but for lack of a better word, that's what was going on over the course of this past week. And so you remember our model? You remember our model? Those things that push us to eat a particular thing. So our habits, our emotions, access, and taste. So those are the things that really push us in the direction of eating. And so if we're not careful, those things will cause problems for us, right? So that's those are the things that will push us. And so for me, emotions, right? My emotions during this process, I was a little bit more anxious this week, if you will. And so this particular week, this fast was a little bit more problematic. So there were times when I walked into my wife's office and said, "Hey, I'm having a craving for something," or I was having a anchoring, if you will. And the interesting thing is that it was not hunger, right? It was my brain saying, "Hey, you remember that stuff that we had before that caused us to have little bit of calm? Hey, let's go get some of that." Right? Or once again, seeing my team around me go to lunch, or even having my wife eating lunch. And so that timing, right? That habit that had developed, those things were, we gotta have something to eat. So it wasn't a brain thing. So this was, physically I was feeling good, right? I was not hungry. I didn't have any additional cravings. Now, once the thoughts came, and so I started struggling a little bit with wanting to have something to eat, then my stomach started growling, and I had a little bit of indigestion, right? So physically, mentally, we kind of talked a little bit about that, and then emotionally as well. Now, last night, after I had the meeting with our community, I finished the meeting and I did some work here, and I had to, well, I shouldn't say I had to. I went and I sat down. My son was watching basketball. I went and sat down and I went to sleep, right? Just got knocked out. And not as soon, but I woke up. So that was maybe 9-10 o'clock. And I fell asleep on the couch and woke up this morning, y'all. Yeah, this morning. That's how tired I was. Actually, I woke up to my wife coming out of the room and turning off the light. But it was already 5:30 this morning when I woke up. But I woke up this morning and that push, if you will, that was gone. Okay, so once again, pointing to the fact that it was not hunger, and it was not something that my body needed, but it was something that my brain and my emotions were telling me that I needed to do. Okay. All right. So that's a kind of a quick check-in. In terms of where I am with blood sugars, today I had to change my Libre, because my Libre, for the first time, y'all, since I've been wearing this, my Libre actually stopped working overnight. I think it had maybe another, I don't know, I think it had maybe 3 days left to go, but it stopped working and I had to change it. So let me pull that up really quickly, and so you could see what my Libre and my Dexcom are saying. And so for most of the day, I was relying on my Dexcom. And the other thing is, for the first time in the time that I've been wearing these, the Dexcom actually showed some lower numbers than my Libre. So let me pull that up really quickly over here. All right, so this is the Libre, and the Libre says that I'm 72 right now. And you'll see there at the bottom the graph. As that graph, when I changed it, you'll see there's a blank line starting from midnight all the way to maybe about 9 o'clock. And actually, when I woke up this morning, I forgot to put one on. So I was in a meeting and I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot to put one on. So anyway, so I ran and did that. And so that's why you see there's the blank at the first part of the day, and then the white graph as it continues to go down, 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 down. And then finally, right before 6 o'clock, maybe 5:30, you'll see that red dot, and that was when the blood sugar dipped below 70. If I go back now and look at the Dexcom, you'll see that for most of the day, the Dexcom has been showing a blood sugar that's below, skirting right at about 70, and then going below. And right now it's saying that my blood sugar is a 66. And we'll take a look over here on my, and this is the Clarity app, or Clarity website. And so we'll take a look to see, actually, why don't we we'll take a look and see what that is here in just a minute. All right. So anyway, so that's what those monitors are showing. Here in a little while, we'll come back over and we'll actually check my blood sugar with the Keto Mojo, see where we are in terms of my ketones, check it with the Contour, and then go from there. And then, of course, I've got my bone broth over here that my son actually made and brought in just as I was going live. And that's what I'm going to break my fast with tonight. Let's get that over to the side. All right, so let's hop in and let's talk a little bit about vitamins. So first we want to understand the body's needs, right? We want to understand the body's needs. And Jeff says Abbott will replace Libre after a long call. Thank you for saying. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. So let's understand the body's needs, right? So during fasting, and we've gone over kind of this this progression in the past, right? So during fasting, your body undergoes this significant metabolic change. So it shifts from burning glucose as energy. As the fast continues, it transitions to burning fat. And this process doesn't necessarily deplete vitamins or minerals, but the use of vitamins and minerals changes during the course of fasting. So the body is used to burning certain substrates, carbohydrates, for example, glycogen, and it uses vitamins and minerals in a particular way. As we transition away from that process of burning glycogen, glucose, then the body has to transition to using supplements and the minerals that it has within the system in a different way. Okay. And so really what we want to do is we want to understand what is really needed during this time, because if we take certain minerals, certain vitamins, they can actually interrupt the fast, right? Because they have calories, or they can actually cause GI distress or disturbance, and that we do not want during this process, because then you're like, I'm not doing that anymore, right? So we don't want to short circuit the process. So that's really understanding the body's what the body needs and how it transitions. So fasting does not necessarily deplete them, but the body uses it in a different way. And so understanding that is very important to avoid complications or discomfort, I guess I should say. Avoid discomfort, particularly as you're doing longer fasts, right? So some of the shorter fasts, not as big a deal, but it's still very important. So first I want to talk a little bit about water-soluble vitamins. And so as you go through the vitamins, you may know we got A, B, C, D, E, K, and so forth. So B and C are water-soluble, meaning that they aren't stored in the body and they need to be replenished on a regular basis. Right. So those are things that we have to take in from the outside. So during fasting, the need for these doesn't change. It doesn't go away. But if we take too high a concentration, too much of vitamin C and vitamin B on an empty stomach, right, which is what we're doing during the fasting, then this can cause GI discomfort for some people. Right. So if we're going to supplement, and these we can supplement, we probably should supplement, we want to lower the dose so that it doesn't cause those GI symptoms, right? So B and C, those are the water-soluble vitamins, and those probably should be taken at a lower dose than what we normally do. And that brings us to fat-soluble vitamins. And fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. And this means that those vitamins are actually stored in the body. So fat-soluble vitamins are stored in the body, and these are best absorbed with dietary fat. So taking them during a fast may not be effective, right? So if you take them, they're not as absorbed. And it's generally not recommended that you take these during the fast, but you take them during your eating window. So one important reason why it's important, and we've talked before about preparing for the fast, and we talked about breaking the fast and what we do after the fast. So if we're getting ready for the fast, it's important to make sure that we are taking the vitamins, eating a balanced meal, if you will, so we get the vitamins in the food, so that during the fasting period, those are actually stored in fat cells and they get released during the process of breaking down fatty tissue, but making sure that we are well stocked up on those. If you're fasting for extended periods, we want to make sure, once again, that we're taking in an adequate amount of those vitamins to make sure that we're not becoming vitamin deficient. Okay. And once again, taking this during the eating windows as opposed to during the fasting period. And then one of the very, very important parts of fasting in terms of supplements and vitamins brings us the electrolytes and minerals. And so maintaining good electrolyte balance is crucial during the fast, especially things like sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, right? Those are the big ones that most people have heard of. So these support nerve function. They help with hydration. For instance, sodium is a very important one in hydration, and muscle health, right? So calcium and magnesium and potassium, very important for health and muscle. And if you have an imbalance, this can lead to headaches, fatigues, cramping, and you may, if you've had low potassium in the past, you may know what it feels like to have one of those Charlie horses, right? And yeah, so that happens if we're not making sure that we are keeping up with our electrolytes, particularly potassium and calcium. And so supplementing these with a mixture that doesn't contain sugar, right? So sugar is the thing that breaks the fast because it has the calories. But making sure that you're supplementing with a mixture that has a sufficient amount of electrolytes but doesn't have sugar or calories is very important, right? So that's fat soluble, water soluble, our electrolytes and minerals, and then we cannot stop or have a conversation without talking about some other special things. Iron, right? Iron supplements are generally not recommended during the fast because you can have some GI issues, so gastrointestinal side effects. And iron is typically absorbed or enhanced by vitamin C, which you typically take on an empty stomach, like we just talked about, during a fast. And so that can cause some problems for us, okay? The other thing is probiotics. So probiotics, these can cause some GI discomfort. And these probably during a fast, we don't want to continue those because they do have calories, right? Depending on which ones you get. But some people can have some GI discomfort with them. And so during the fast, probably not, but definitely preparing for the fast and after the fast, as we talked about, very important that if that's one thing that you do, you want to make sure that you get those replenished. And then fish oil. Fish oil is a source of fat, and it's best taken with food to enhance the absorption. Same thing now going back to the fat-soluble vitamins, right? So this is probably most suitable for having during an eating window so that you have the benefit of the absorption and negate any possible GI effects that you may have, okay? Always in our discussion, I want to make sure that you know that you want to consult your healthcare provider before starting any particular supplements. If you're doing additional to what you're doing, if your doctor has you, for instance, some people are on calcium for a particular reason, people are on sodium, different types of diets. So make sure you're talking to your healthcare provider to make sure that what you're doing is in line with what they want. If you have kidney disease, for example, one of the things you want to do is make sure you're talking to your nephrologist as you are adjusting sodium, potassium, calcium, right? All of those, right? Because that's very important in the treatment of patients who have chronic kidney disease, particularly as you get into the later stages. For supplements, that are necessary and well tolerated, taking them during your eating window is generally the best process, particularly if it's a shorter fast. As you get into the more extended fast, you've got to kind of listen to your body, make sure that you are hearing, if you're feeling symptoms, headaches, nausea, cramping, and so forth, make sure that you touch base with your family doctor because that may be a sign of some electrolyte imbalance. And then, of course, we're not talking necessarily about hydration, but hydration is very, 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 very important. It's not a supplement, it's not a vitamin or mineral, but all of the things in the body work better when you're hydrated, right? So if you're not hydrated, then you can have some difficulties with absorption. You can have difficulties in the GI tract. You can have difficulties with cramping, right? Because you can get cramping if you're dehydrated as well. And then you want to make sure that you're opting for high quality supplements. There are several supplements on the market in terms of vitamins. The vitamin I recommend to everybody, and you're going to get a kick out of this, is Flintstones, the Flintstone Chewable. It has most things that you need in it. If there are additional things that you have in terms of your diet and your health care that your doctor is asking you to do, then of course you can add those. But Flintstones, very good one. A lot of people will use, a lot of women will actually use prenatal vitamins, right? Because once again, prenatal vitamins has a lot of the things that we need. So you want to make sure that you're opting for high quality vitamins. And you want to make sure that when you look at the package, you don't find ones that have a lot of sugar, right? Because that, of course, breaks the fast. A lot of fillers or artificial ingredients. This is a great plug. And once again, I have no affiliation with these folks, but one of the apps that I've used and is this app by the name of Yuka, right? So let me hop over there. So Yuka. And so I'm going to just show you, this is something that I picked up at the store this afternoon. What it does, it shows you the fat, the sodium, the carbohydrates, the protein, the sugar, and it gives it a rating, right? So this one was 32 over 100. Okay. So that's a great way to begin checking the food and different things. Okay. Make sure that you are doing your due diligence. So while fasting, right, you want to make sure that you understand some of these things. All right, good. All right, so let's see. So Jeff, thank you for being out there. So Jeff was saying earlier that Abbott will replace the Libre. And Jeff, I think it's still in the garbage, so I need to get it. You're right. So if I call them, they will replace that. So I need to make sure that I do that. And then Steve is saying hello. Hello, Steve. How are you doing? Glad that you're here. Over on our Instagram, we've got some folks out there. Hey guys, thank you guys for coming through and hanging out with us here. Okay, so let's take a look now, and let's go over and let's look at my meters, my monitors. And first, let me pull up my Keto Mojo and my Contour app, because we're going to look at those here in just a minute. All right, so this is what my Libre is saying that I am right now. And let's go ahead and take a look at what these other monitors are saying. So we're going to go ahead and put a strip into the Contour. And we'll start with the glucose for the Keto Mojo. Pop, pop, pop. And of course we get a little, this is, get a drop of blood. Okay, let's see what these guys are compared to. All right, so the Keto Mojo says 54. There's a little glare there. Ah, look at that. Both of them right now are saying 54. Isn't that cool? All right. And then let's hop over and let's see. What do you think my ketones are going to be? So 72 hours, actually 72 hours and 34 minutes. All right. Let's see. What do you think is going to be? I'm predicting maybe 3 or 4. Maybe 3 or 4. Is what I'm guessing that's going to be. And while that's coming up, let me go ahead and pull over. All right, so that was my Contour, and yeah, 4.3. See, 4.3. This is what Contour meter is, and then let's get over and pull over. This is the Keto Mojo. We'll pull it over there. Let's go ahead and sync so that we get all that data to come over. All right, and so you'll see here that we have our glucose in red. Yes, we'll submit that later. Okay, thank you. Glucose in red, 54, and ketones 4.3 is what those are. And remember, once again, going through the ketones, less than 0.5 is normal, 0.5 to 1.5 is considered nutritional ketosis, and then greater than 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. So we want our ketones to be up, we want our glucose to be down. That says that our body is processing, burning fat, and is using ketones at that point. And you'll see there on our graph that our blood sugars, let's see, that's Sunday was when my blood sugar and the ketones crossed. And then as we went through the week, the blood sugar dropped. The blood sugar, of course, is the tan line, and the ketones are the kind of turquoise line that you see there. Ketones go up, blood sugars go down, and that's where we get that number in the middle, that 0.6. That's the ratio of glucose to ketones. So take the glucose divided by ketones, and that gives us that number. Awesome. All right, so let's hop over and let's take a look at one of these graphs. And I'm going to look at the Dexcom, which is what you're seeing right now. My average blood sugar over the last 2 weeks has been 112 with a possible GMI, that's the glucose management indicator, of 6.0. And as I mentioned to you before, my A1C was 6.6. Let me see if I can change this really quickly. Let's do a 90-day, and let's see if it gives us, so 90-day average blood sugar of 119 with a GMI of 6.2. We're in the target range 95% of the time, and remember the target is between 70 and 180. And it just says that my sensor usage has been pretty good because I've continued to put that on every time it died or something happened. We put another one on quickly, except for this morning with the with the Libre. Okay. All right. So let's take a look now, and let's go back. And I want to start on Tuesday night. So Tuesday night, right around here. Right around 6 o'clock, blood sugar was 124 when we started the fast. And right before the fast, right, so right in here, I had, what did I eat? I had salad, and I had, what did I have? Oh, yeah, I had a chicken finger salad. Right, I think I was telling someone last night that what I've started doing is a at the cafeteria at the office or in the hospital, they have these wraps. So I do a chicken finger wrap without the wrap, right? Without the tortilla or the whatever they wrap it in. And so anyway, so that's what I had leading up to the fast right here with blood sugars of 120, 124. You see for the rest of the evening, we kind of dipped down. So that was start of the fast. So 24 hours later, well, let's kind of go through and you'll see these numbers, right? So stayed in the 80s and 90s up to 100. And right around here is that thing I keep talking about, that dawn phenomenon or toothpaste, right? So I haven't done that test yet. So we're going to see whether it's dawn phenomenon or toothpaste that causes that rise, because up here it's in the 90s, and then it goes up to about 111 and then starts coming back down. Right here, I don't think it dipped below 70 for this entire day, but right 24 hours later, right, I was 91, right? So remember when I started the fast, I was 124, 24 hours later, 91, yeah, between 91 and 93. That was Wednesday. And then all day on Thursday, right? So we kind of stayed in the 70s and 80s. And right again there's that spike, right? Whether it's toothpaste or dawn phenomenon. And then we continue to come down for the rest of the day. And then at 48 hours now, we're between 77 and 78, right? So we started up in the hundreds, down to the 90s, now 70s. And then here we are today, right? Notice that for most of today, the blood sugars have been in the 60s and 70s. Once again, there's that spike, right? 7, 8 o'clock. and then continuing on down, 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 70s, 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 down into the 60s. Here's a 60, 68, spiking, going down again, 65, 63, and then right here at about 5:53, I was 64. Right. So notice for that entire time, 72 hours plus, right? So we were kind of skirting, according to this, we're skirting right around 60s and 70s. What I want to do is I'm going to go over and I want to log into the Libre. Log into the Libre so we could see what the Libre was showing. As you know, the Libre tends to be a little lower in the blood sugars than the Dexcom. So we'll see here what that was showing. But once again, you know, looking at my ketones and my glucose, you'll see that my body is definitely burning ketones. It's using ketones as the source of energy, which typically happens as the glycogen goes away at about 24, 26 hours. And then, 24 to 48 hours, we're definitely burning ketones. And then 48 to 72 hours and beyond, we've gotten into autophagy and some of those other processes that we talk about when we talk about the benefits of ketones, right? So let's hop over and let's take a look at, this is now the Libre, and kind of similar graph. You'll see the Libre says that I am in target 79% of the time. And the reason for that is that it's showing that I'm low 20%, right? Well, 21% of the time. So that's why, and so that's considered outside of the range, because the range, once again, is between 70, the target is between 70 to 180. So anytime I go below 70, it's considered outside of the range. Okay. All right. So let's hop down and let's take a look at some of these graphs. So here I am. Let's see. Okay, here we are. So Tuesday. So Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and this one doesn't show what the actual number is, but it's above 70. And according to the Libre, I did dip below 70. See that red right there? I dipped below 70 right before midnight. Once again in the morning, the next day, I dipped below 70, right around 5:30, 6 o'clock. For the rest of the day, the blood sugars were right above 70, straddled 70, and then starting 24 hours later, we spent a lot of time the rest of that evening below 70. And then on Thursday, according to this, for most of the day, y'all, other than that spike that I normally get in the morning, for most of the day I was below 70, right, for the rest of that. And then overnight I was 70, and then that big gap that you see is because my Libre went out, and so then I changed it again right here, and here we are at 72 hours, a little bit over 72 hours. All right. So that's what's been going on, guys. That is what's been happening with my fasting for this week. Wanted to make sure that I talked a little bit about the supplements. Wanted to talk a little bit about electrolytes and so forth, so that you get a good idea of what we want to do. Let's see. Teresa's out there. Teresa says, hello, all. I'm late. Teresa, we're glad that you are here. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. And then Jeff says, did you say your lab A1C was 6.6 recently? Yes, it was 6.6 recently, Jeff. Actually, let me double. I think it was 6.6. Was it 6.6 or 6.4? One of those. 6.6. Let me... let's see. Here we are. So my most recent one was... Come on. It's either 6.6 or 6.4. 6.6. Now, let's see. Okay, how can I do that? Yeah, I'm supposed to do a show where I go over these, but I'm going to see if I can just show that. Should be able to. Where did it go? All right. For some reason, it's not letting me do it, guys. Yeah, for some reason it is not behaving properly. But as I said, oh, there it is over there. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to do it so you guys don't see all of my crazy other things. Okay, maybe I could do it this way. Yeah, there we go. So let me pop over to that screen. All right, so there it is. All right, so hemoglobin A1C 6.6 right there. All right, and like I said, we'll come back and we'll do. See if I can blow it up. And we'll come back and we'll do a show where we actually talk about all of the different parameters that you should be checking and having your doctor check for you. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So 72 hours again, 72 hours in the books, all the amazing things that we get from fasting. So while fasting, right, we need to make sure that we're safely continuing vitamins and supplements. And it's largely dependent on your individual health. Remember, we've talked about these fat soluble, we talked about the water soluble ones, some special considerations with electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and then of course the iron, the probiotics, and so forth. And then of course making sure that you are remaining hydrated, right? So some of them are beneficial during the fast, particularly those water soluble ones, because those are ones that we have to take in. The fat soluble are stored in our fat cells, so as they actually break down, we get some of those released, and those are probably best handled during the eating window. The electrolytes, you want to make sure you're getting those during the time when you're fasting, particularly if you're having symptoms, right? Headaches, cramping, nausea, those types of things. Listen to your body. Make sure that you are paying attention to what the body is saying. And then for me, y'all, as you guys know how I do it, I've got to Okay, can you hear me now? There we go. Awesome. All right, so we're back. Hold on a second. I need to go back to that view. Hold on. Okay, you should hear me now. Yeah. So on that view, I actually turned off the sound. So I was saying that I'm breaking the fast with bone broth. It's actually a combination of bone and chicken broth. My son made this for me, and it actually tastes better than when I made it, by the way. And he's 14. So you're seeing it here for the first time in 72 hours. You're getting to see me take my first calorie-containing food. And I did, Teresa. Where is Teresa out there? Yeah. And Jennifer, I did buy some almonds today, but they're not in here with me. So they're out there. So I've got to make sure that I'm very cautious with those. One of the things I was explaining in our community meetup last night was that when you break the fast, y'all, you want to make sure that you are not eating a lot of things that have carbs, right? So not high carb containing foods, because what happens is when you eat the carbs, of course, insulin comes out, and the insulin, as it comes out, it is a stimulator of food or appetite, right? So you begin getting cravings, and then the insulin brings the blood sugar down, and the drop in blood sugar also pushes you in the direction of eating. So if you're eating high carb, highly processed food right at the end of the fast, you're going to be ravenous for that next day, right? So don't eat things like, a lot of rice and potatoes and pizza and those types of things. You want to start slow. Make sure you're eating protein. In fact, that's the reason I was just talking about the almonds, because I thought the almonds, oh, sure, these are going to be great. They're going to be healthy. They've got a lot of fat, but they spiked my blood sugar like you would not believe, y'all. So my blood sugar went from, I think last week or the week before, I was down in the 60s, 50s when I broke the fast. And within the space of maybe 3 hours, my blood sugars went from the 50s up to about 180, 190, right? So that's a big spike in blood sugar, and that is a big spike in insulin. And as a result of that, I was hungrier than normal. Okay, so today I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that today. I'm starting with the bone broth. I've got some beef sausage that my son is out. Well, I forgot to tell him, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to have some cheese, some salad. And then after that, I'm going to start bringing in some other things. All right. So Steve says, Teresa says, LOL. I think you're laughing at my, my almonds. She says she really enjoyed last night. Yes, Teresa, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. And Steve says, I just finished a 24-hour fast. I'm hoping for a 5 points. Steve, come on, man. Yes. I'm very proud of you, man. So 24 hours. Love it. That's the way we do it here. I love that. And so we want to make sure that you are doing the things that you are joining us. As a matter of fact, why don't we just let me hop over there and I'll talk about we'll talk about my asks, as I always say they are. I guess I should stop calling them the asks, right? But this is just our call to action, y'all. This is our call to action. So call to action is this. Number one, join us, right? Join the challenge. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing as we are learning these tools. I don't want you to just come and take the tools and we talk about the tools and you put them on the shelf, right? I want you to join in, just like Steve is saying. He finished a 24-hour fast. The first thing that we talked about was coming up with your why. Make sure if you've not done so, go back to that show. That was the very first show that we did for the year. Why do you want to do this? What's the reason? Because that's going to be the thing that drives you and things that gives you support and the thing that's going to help you through some of the challenges that you're going to have this year. And we are going to have challenges, by the way, right? So come join us working on the challenges, right? They're there on the channel. Go back and watch them. Even if you're catching this for the first time and it's December 15th of this year and you're like, oh my God, they started this at the beginning of the year. It's never too late. Right? Join us as we move through. Number two, share your story. As you share your story, just like Steve shared his story just a minute ago that he just completed a 24-hour fast. He's hoping for a 5.4 in his A1C. That is amazing. That encourages everyone. Just like I said, hey, this week for me was one of the most challenging fasts that I've had. Other people are out there. You think that you're the only one, but everybody is having an experience. And as you come, the community is better. The community is stronger as we together talk about the things that are going on in our lives, right? And going on in our experiences. And then finally, invite a friend. You know somebody who needs this information. So don't just keep this to yourself. invite them, send them the link, let them know that we're here, that they can come and they can join. There are over 430 million people around the world with diabetes. In the United States, 88 million that are pre-diabetic. And I keep saying, they tell me by 2050, between 30 and 50% of everyone in the country, in the United States, will be overweight, obese, be diabetic. You can be a voice that begins to change that for the entire country and ultimately for the entire world. That's what this community is all about, and I want to make sure that you know that this is what I want you to do. Last night we had our very first New Year, New You, Dr. Dwayne Wood community meetup, and it was good. We had great conversation, and I want to see you there. Keep an eye out, keep an ear out for future meetups, because that's a place where you can come. We get to talk to each other. We get to hear each other, hear our voices. I get to see your faces, and we get to interact, talking specifically about things that you may have going on in your life and in your experience. Okay. All right. And then, yes. So Teresa is saying, great job, Steve. That's right. We here on the channel, we encourage each other, and we want to make sure that, that you know that we are a community that's growing and a community that is very interested in building, growing, supporting each other. So y'all, that's another 72 hours in the books, right? Right. So we are moving New Year, New You. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. I'm always excited when you are here on the channel. We educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Create the life you've always wanted. And in this year, y'all, New Year, New You. Good night. Have a great weekend. We will see you at our show on Monday at 7 p.m. Central. Bye-bye.